it felt like a heroin addict where I'm on this treasure chest and I broke it. That's it. I don't need that. What's a lot going to do to me? I need my fix.
Daniel, how did you find Carnivore?
I'm glad you asked, Dave. So it has been a journey, right? Honestly, I have to give credit to where credit is due, and that is my brother Joe. My brother Joe has always had difficulty with weight. And, he's tried many things, and I've tried so many things as well because I had issues as well. But with that being said, I saw this transformation in him in about 13 months where he lost about 80 to 90 pounds and he started feeling like invigorated. He started being a family man again. And his conversations, it was just so clear minded. And I always had in the back of my head, right, whenever he would talk about it, because what I have done in the past, I've done keto, I've done the Atkins, and I loved it. My weight has always fluctuated. And over the past 8 years, to start the year, I was averaging probably around 244 pounds. Now I'm 5'10". I should be around 180. And if I bulk up muscular wise, I should be around 190. So with that being said, on my journey with keto, I remember having these epiphanies where I would say, wow, it's amazing this rabbit hole that I'm going through with sugars. I never knew that sugar was this bad. And then, of course, how it always is, and I'm sure to many viewers, is that when you're heavy and you're at the dinner table, no one says anything about your weight. But the moment you go on a diet and you start showing improvement, you're the talk of the town on the dinner table. What happened? What's going on with you? You look great, by the way. Oh, thanks. Well, I've been doing keto. Oh, what's that? Well, I cut out all pasta and carbs and rice and bread and sugar. Oh, you better be careful, Dan, because you need those essential nutrients. And I would think to myself, where was this when I was 30 pounds heavier? But I know that it's all for the benefit of conversation, and it makes you think. Anyway, I would flip-flop back and forth, and I've had issues with my weight even younger. Again, growing up in a household that obviously every home has its issues and whatnot, and you see that the go-to for that comfort, when you see your mom say, all right, you know what, this is going on here, and she would grab food, and you would see that as a kid. And as you grow, you start saying, all right, when troubles come, innately, you start reaching for food, and you start munching and whatnot, and then you pack on some pounds, and then you look in the mirror as a young kid, and as a young kid, you start to grow, and you start to stretch, and you could eat whatever you want. Wow, I miss those days. And you can put weight on. So at that point, I was very disproportional, right? A little bit of lard here, a little bit of love handles where it would be kind of like my armrests. And then I joined the football team at my high school. And man, that was a game changer. That was great. The workouts, drinking water. I never drank so much water in my life, and that camaraderie. But then there was an expectation on the level of the football level where you had to bring your A game. So I would hit the weights and I would see improvement. Wow, this is amazing when you take care of your body. And that was another thing that I would emulate my brother Joe. My brother Joe would work out and I would see that. I'm like, wow, man, look at him. Shoulders popping, biceps. And I'm like, I want to be like that. One thing led to another with high school. You start looking at supplements, right? You always look at the next person. Wow, that guy's bigger than me. I need to get bigger than that. I never took steroids or anything like that, but I used to take like creatine, glutamate, protein shakes, you name it. And I got jacked. And playing my position in high school, I was quarterback. I looked like a linebacker. I looked huge, but I felt very fog-headed. And it wasn't because of the hits or whatnot. It was because of the stuff that I was ingesting. But I could throw the ball farther. So I was compensating with health. But like I didn't care. I didn't care because I was getting the job done. Meaning I was putting myself second. Segue on to after high school, I worked a lot, with my brothers. My brothers owned a pizza shop, and I would also work with other places too. And food was always at my disposal. So, for instance, I would work probably 16 hours a day, and that was fine with me. I grew up in a family of hard workers, which they still are to this day. It all started with my dad. My dad was, if he had to work 26 hours on the job and you see him laboring, no stopping. And I learned that. So for me to work 16, 17 hours at a restaurant, it wasn't nothing. That's why when I would hear people, hey, I work 8 hours, I'm like, wow, what do you do for the other 8? Relax. I'm like, I don't know what that is. Anyway, my normal meals at the pizza shop was probably 3 slices, a rice ball, a Dr. Pepper, a root beer, and then I would go back to work and finish my shift. This kind of carried on for quite a while. Then I had kind of a change of heart where my life was going at age 19. I said, you know what? I would like to have a family one day. I don't know when that's going to be, but I can't be working 16 hours a day. I just, I always felt like God put in my heart, you're going to have a family, but you got to get your vocation right. So at that point, I branched out. I went into the medical field. And, circling back, when I finally did finish my registry, my test, I got licensed and I worked my first day. And after 8 hours, I go outside and I'm looking like John Travolta in Pulp Fiction, like, okay, that's it. It's done. I work 8 hours. Now I can do whatever I want. So I started substituting that time with food. I would go to lavish restaurants, steaks, tacos, and whatever the case is. And as a young kid, 21, you get into a really bad ritual of drinking. Not that I was an alcoholic or whatnot, but that Amistad with friends and just going to bars, going to the city. Again, I'm in New York, right? And the city is everything to a young kid. But then the twists and turns of life, right? So at this point, I had to really focus in on me. So I gained so much weight, but I was going to the gym. So every time I got complimented, wow, you're in good shape, Dan. Thanks. But I remember looking in the mirror and I'm like, but I don't feel right. This is not what I want to look at. So then I started doing weight training and started going to CrossFit. And I would overexert my body. And it got to the point where I started looking in the mirror and I'm like, wow, I look great. At that point, my wife and I, we got married. We have a beautiful daughter at that point. And then we had to move. And again, these trials, I feel like it's so subconscious that, all right, you're going through something. Your go-to is fast food. That's the only way that you're going to get through this, Dan, is Taco Bell, Burger King, all the chains, and load up. So just to put it to a certain point where the audience could understand, my eating habits is not normal. It's not. For instance, when I was on keto, I would say, okay, you know what? I got out of work. I don't think I have a steak at home or vegetables or whatever the case was. Let me go to Wendy's, another fast food chain. I'm going to get 3 burgers, 2 of them. So that's 6. No bun, no whatever. So I would eat 6 burgers thinking it's okay, no problem. Not knowing and not diving into the rabbit hole that I finally stumbled upon many years later, that's not meat. It's not. These fast food corporations, they put so much chemicals in there. I mean, to the point where it's MSG. MSG is almost in everything. Every fast food chain, even certain restaurants, they use something called monosodium glutamate, where if you sprinkle a little bit of that on the grass, you'll probably have half a missing backyard because you won't stop eating the dirt. That's how bad and addictive this stuff is. So I found myself every day eating this, not the dirt. I mean, the burgers and the hot dogs and all this stuff where you start hearing keto. Oh, it's good. It's as long as it's meat. As long as it's meat, perfect. I'm going to go this route. It's going to be good. The thing is, I wasn't conquering that demon of, hey, you're not hungry. You're like, my body wanted to fast. And I think that's so important that so many people in life, and I don't know, it might be the agricultural companies and pharmaceutical industries, that they place in your head that fasting is bad. It's demonic. It's to the point where you can't do it or you'll die. Or that's it. You can't fast. It's no good for you. But as history states, there's so many religions and civilizations that they do it to cleanse themselves. And honestly, I always remember this analogy. There's a plumber at your house because you called them. There's a water leak. And it's only going to take them probably half an hour to do this job. Then all of a sudden, another pipe breaks. And then subsequently, another one does as well. So instead of maybe a half an hour job, it's probably going to take 20 hours. So I feel like with our body, we get to a certain point where it wants to cleanse itself by fasting. Hey, give me a second. There's a rupture in the lining within your gastrointestinal tract. There's something going on here. I need to fix it. But yet we put more food in, more food. What do they say? They say you have to eat 6 to 8 mini meals a day. Again, we swallowed that one up because, again, Kellogg's and all these other huge fast enterprises, they profit off of us. And again, what does it benefit them from us being healthy? Nothing. So at that point, I'm going through my trials, and one thing leads to another. We buy the house and we start fixing things, and we have our second child, which I'm super blessed. I mean, I'm one of the luckiest men on earth. I have such an amazing wife. She's so supportive, and the hell I put her through because of this up and down kind of yo-yo diet nonsense that I have been going on through. And I think that is one of the main issues with food. It really spirals a lot of people through a depression state where you're so addictive and your microbiome starts to take full control of your brain. It's like a direct phone line. And they multiply so much that they are the captain now. They're in that point where I need McDonald's. You know what? This is a hard one. I don't know how we're going to do this without Taco Bell. Let's go for it. And you're like a mouse on a wheel over and over. And I remember falling into that kind of vortex of thinking, man, this is really bad. I'm putting everyone around me in such a bad position, and you don't self-reflect. You try to. Like for me, there were moments. During the night, I would lose control. I would hop onto my couch. I would wait until the family would go to bed, and at that point, I would go to the refrigerator, and I would just dive into it. And I remember one time, I was staying at my mother's house, and my brother was just crashing on the couch. And because of the situation of how the house was, we had tenants, and we had to move the refrigerator into the living room. So the living room was facing my brother sleeping, and I had an issue. So one time I went downstairs like 3 a.m. I opened it up. I scared the crap out of my brother. My brother thought that it was the end of his life because he sees this figure there and this light shining behind him. And he's like, I guess that's it for me. And I said, no, I'm just grabbing some Twinkies. But that was the thing. That's fast forward again back to now, how I just felt like I was showcasing to my daughters the wrong way how to eat and how to live, and there was no control. Like, how can I tell my daughters to live a certain way if I'm not doing it, if I'm not setting the precedent? But it was difficult because I fell into an area where it was repeated, where I would wait for them to go to bed. I would closet eat. I think that's the term. Sandwiches, lasagna, whatever was in there. My wife would say, I have to put a lock on this refrigerator for you to stop. And then I would go to the kids' munchies, right? The potato chips, the cookies. And I actually bought a chest, a huge, like a treasure chest. And I told my wife, look, you know what? Just throw it in there. Throw it in there, lock it. So whenever I get tempted, and I kid you not, it felt like, again, I've never done drugs or anything like that, but I could only imagine. It felt like a heroin addict where I'm on this treasure chest and I broke it. That's it. I don't need that. What's a lock going to do to me? I need my fix. I think one of the biggest epiphanies is knowing that you have an issue, like an alcoholic going to an AA meeting. I mean, that's how I feel as being a Jet fan. Like, whenever I tell people I'm a Jet fan, I'm like, my name is Daniel and I'm a Jets fan. That's how bad my team is. But I think once we see that and have that reflection of, okay, where is the problem? Because now I'm going to go to a gastroenterologist. I got to go get checked out. This is something. And I started having some blood in the stool and whatnot. I'm like, hey, what's going on? This happened about probably 2 months ago. And I started getting worried at that point. Say, man, this is not right. I went to the gastroenterologist. He gave me probiotics. But I asked him, I said, do you think it's my diet? He's like, no, that has nothing to do with it. I said, but you didn't even ask me what I eat. And again, I don't want to harp on them. It's what they do, right? It's something that it's part of their curriculum, their realm. It's fine. But to the patient, you should be asking questions in your mind. And then when you call them, you should ask questions. You shouldn't feel kind of in a corner saying, oh, should I ask this? Should I do that? So at that point, I started kind of self-discovering my own health. Started going online and whatnot. And I started speaking to people that had the similar issues that I had. I'm like, how did you fix yourself? Well, now I'm on this medication. Okay. Did that have any issues with you? Like, well, it helped me, but now I'm on another medication. Oh, okay. Are you, not to be facetious, but are you on another medication because of that second medication? Yes. How did you know that? I'm just following the pattern. That's all. But you look great. Then I asked somebody else who I remember seeing that the person was pretty heavy and says, oh, yeah, the story with this one is this person, walks his dog here and he was very heavy, very heavy. And one day I start noticing that he started losing weight. And I'm a very curious person. If I see work being done across the street, I cross the street, and I introduce myself to the construction workers or the roofer. Hi, my name is Daniel, whatever the case is. How long have you been doing this? And I always make connections, kind of like my dad did back in the day. And I'm sure that so many other fathers used to do when they would come right off the boat. That was their networking. If I'm a mechanic and you're a plumber, let's switch numbers. And as soon as I have a customer, if they need a plumber, I'll hook you up. So I went up to my neighbor and I said, hey, look, you look amazing. And he says, oh, yeah, I do the Wegovy shots. Oh, my goodness. So you start thinking, saying, all right, you know what? I know that in life there's no shortcuts, but this guy looks amazing. So I started looking into that, the shots. And you start going into it, and you start seeing how fast people start losing weight. And then I just wanted to learn about the testimonials. And the common narrative to all of these testimonials with that injection, which is off-label, by the way, is that they weren't hungry. They stopped eating. I remember something similar like that. It was keto when I was on keto. But again, when you're so fog-headed, things don't register. One of my wife's friends, his husband, the husband was rather large, big. And again, one thing led to another. I didn't see him in 3 months. In 3 months, skinny. Skinny as a branch. I said, what happened? I had the surgery. The one that, what is it? They make your stomach smaller, something like that. But it was deliberate, that he had to get down to a certain weight, and then they do it. So I said, are you hungry? Because you lost so much weight. No. There are days that I don't even eat. Son of a gun. Fasting. It's coming full circle. Fast forward again to the gastroenterologist that I went to. And then I came to a conclusion. I said, you know what? My brother Joe has been on this diet for a while. It's called what? The carnivore diet, aka lion diet. So I started looking at like a Dante Ferrigno, Kerry from Homestead, Dr. Berry, Dr. Chafee, Dr. Kiltz. And I'm one of those where I vet. I vet everyone. If you tell me that you're a nutritionist, I need to know where you went to school. I want to know everything. And I did it. I started printing out pages. These guys are legitimate. I said, all right. What if I got Crohn? Ultimately, if I keep going this route, Crohn's disease, IBS. Then I started putting 2 and 2 together. And what I'm about to say is wild, because I think a lot of Americans, and maybe mostly Americans, because I think in other parts of the world, it's illegal to do this in agriculture. In the United States, they throw a bunch of pesticides on their vegetables and their fruits. See, I was never a person that demonized fruits and vegetables. Again, I follow the Bible. Christ is my savior. And I know God doesn't do mistakes. But I know that the human mind sometimes, in order to profit, they will take it to the next level and start tainting things. Started looking deep into fruits and vegetables and the pesticides. And the pesticides that they use here in the States, they're unwashable. Think of it. You're a farmer. You got to feed your family. You have to pay your bills. And you have this pressure on you to produce. You can't go every day and put pesticides. You need something that's waterproof. So they place that on there for the ants or whatever other critter that goes around there. And they salvage so much of their crops because of it. The rains come, the floods downpour, and those pesticides will not latch off. It'll stay there. Now, here comes the consumer. This guy goes to Stop and Shop, Key Food, whatever you want. I buy a head of lettuce. And I think that I'm doing something, placing the head of lettuce under the faucet. It's clean now. If nature didn't do it. Now I start eating this. A year goes by. I'm 8, 12, now I'm 16. Oh, problems. And then it all culminated about a month and a half ago, 2 months, where Dave, I was in pain, like this whole lower half. And my wife is like, what did you eat? I said the same thing as you told me to eat vegetables, tomatoes, whatever the case is. It hurts. I thought I'm doing this right. And again, let me preface something by saying, I know some people are vegetarians, vegans. If that works for you, fine. I think that's the beauty of having that free mind of diving into so many things. And if there's certain diets that work for you, God bless. But subjectively, to me, as soon as I went full carnivore, wasn't keto anymore, because I feel that the mainstream media hasn't latched on to the carnivore diet just as yet. And I'll tell you why. Because when keto first started, it was, how dare you? Now, when you go to the stores, you have keto bread, keto chocolates, keto biscuits, keto everything. But that's not the purity of what keto is. It's not. Keto sugar. That one got me. That one was the cherry on top of what I needed to hear. But carnivore is as straightforward. Not a lot of thinking. For me, it's ruminant meat. Sometimes eggs, butter, water, and the salt is so important. Oh my goodness, I can't believe how salt has been, I'm going to use this word again, demonized. We're a cell that needs salt, electrolytes. We need that to function, for things, the synapses, for our neurons to fully function. When they say, this is the funny one, when you buy bacon and you buy the low sodium bacon, you think to yourself, it doesn't have that much salt. It's the same content of salt. The ingredient that they pull away is the sugar. It says there, no sugar. Start, again, rabbit hole. Start looking into it. Sugar. 1 gram of sugar contains 2 molecules of water. So when they say that salt produces more water weight, sugar takes the cake. No pun intended. It takes it. All right. So I stopped. I stopped eating sugars, fruits, vegetables. And I got to be honest, I think fruits, they tasted different 20 years ago. Watermelon, the black seeds, I haven't found one yet. Seedless grapes, seedless watermelon. Where does the seed go? It's genetically modified. When it's genetically modified, what else is it doing to your system? So I went 1 week carnivore. Let me try it. First night, I stopped snoring. Wow. I mean, I wouldn't know. My wife told me. That would be some out-of-body experience right there. Oh, you stopped snoring. My wife is like, oh my goodness, you didn't wake me up. Yep. The third night. Now, I've always had issues sleeping. Since I was 8 years old, I would always wake up at 3 a.m. I don't know why, no rhyme, no reason. The moment I put my head down now, I'm out. When I wake up, whether it's 5 a.m. for a workout or 7, my eyes open up and everything is clicking. Everything. Now, with that being said, I'm at a point where I'm not out of the woods. See, I always feel that the temptation's always there. You know, I always start thinking, what if I fail? What if I go back to this? Because, you know, you always hear you got to eat in moderation. So to a recovering alcoholic, how do you say that to them? As long as you get a beer and you control yourself. Well, the reason why you got into alcoholism is that you had no self-control. I got to be honest with you. I have no self-control. When I eat a piece of fruit, an apple, an orange, a pineapple, whatever the case is, my body breaks it down as if I ate a piece of chocolate. My body has no idea the difference. But how could that be? How is that? It just doesn't make sense. No, it makes sense when you really start looking at the issues that we have. That's why I'm hoping that this new gentleman that's in office, Robert F. Kennedy, I really hope that he starts cleaning things up here. I really do. But I know that there is a very demonic entity because, again, the world doesn't revolve around its axis. It revolves around the love of money. And that's what scares so many of us, is that these are the people that we trust. The food pyramid. We learned that at such a young age, that meat is at the top, but we shouldn't be looking at that. In all honesty, it should be flipped around.
So just to clarify, it's been about 2 months now.
This is the lightest I have been in almost 8 to 10 years. Normally, when I go into a year, because of football season, these scumbags, I'm at 245 pounds. Since I started the carnivore diet, about 2 months or whatnot, I'm at 210 pounds. Now, a lot of people might say, wow, that's the weight, that you did it for the weight. And there's some truth in that. But what comes with it? How you feel the body fix itself. Like I got a cut the other day by accident. I'm looking at my body and I'm healed. Like it's quick. I haven't gotten sick. I know I'm normally out with the flu, stomach bug right away towards this year. Nothing. My daughter's sick upstairs. She got I forgot what, probably the flu or a cold, whatever the case is. And my wife is like, don't get near her. I'm there. I'm giving her kisses. I'm like, yeah, I'm there for you. There's like no level of fear whatsoever. And I think that's the beauty of this as well, that there's so many intricacies behind this way of eating. And again, I honestly think it's because of the fasting. I'm not thinking of my next meal. I'm not thinking as soon as I get out of work. Again, about 2.5 months ago, I get out of work at 5 in the afternoon. I'm going to the deli. What I'm about to say is straight facts. I get out of work. Instead of going to the car, I go to the pizzeria. And I'm not talking about a normal person eating a slice. No, I'm eating 3 specialty slices here, like over here, like as if I'm a waiter. Chicken slices, lasagna slices, whatever the case is, and a nice grape soda, because you need fruit in your life. And by the time I get to my car, it's devoured. Now I have this high, this sensation of bliss. It is the weirdest feeling of not caring. I think that is a nasty place to be mentally, is when you don't care, where everything around you can crumble and you don't care because you got that vice satisfied. Not good. I get home, go straight to bed. Not good.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, when you just kind of given up and it's like you just give me the fix and then I'm good. It's
Right.
a pretty bad place to be. How does your wife feel about this way of eating now?
So one of the things that my wife has said to me was, I have my husband back. I, when I married you, and since I've known you, you were always high energy, always focused, always thinking 3 steps ahead. And our daughters have their dad back. See, one of the things that I never understood, but I guess it's because how we are as human beings. You could be out of shape, have a lot of weight on you, you go to the dinner table with family, and no one says anything. The moment you start losing weight, they start asking. And when you start telling them, at that point, everyone is a nutritionalist. You shouldn't do this way of dieting. Like, for instance, not to throw shade, but Thanksgiving was an amazing day. Beautiful meal, everyone together. And I ate seconds, third. Everybody's done eating. See, that's where I'm a little jealous with my wife, is because when she's done eating, she's done. There could be food on the plate. I'm done. I'm like, hon, you still got food there. She's like, no, but I'm done. The way how she functions is different than me. I was eyeing the kids' foods. Sick. That's not the way to live. That's not the mental aspect of a human person. I'm like, hon, you gonna eat that? You gonna eat that? And I would devour my food and I would go back up for seconds, thirds. Thanksgiving came around. I ate like an animal. Well, now I eat animals, which is even better. Now Christmas came, and right now I'm in the thick of the carnivore diet. Sit down, and there's just nothing for me because I'm feeling so good. I don't want to interrupt it. What's wrong with you? No, nothing. I'm just going through something. What are you going through? Well, I went to see a gastroenterologist. I may have to do a colonoscopy, endoscopy. Oh, yeah. And then I pulled this ace. I said, I consulted with a doctor, and they had told me to go full-fledged with a carnivore diet. That's out of the box thinking. Yeah. No doctor is going to tell me that. Dr. Berg, Dr. Berry, Dr. Chafee, those are my doctors. So I'm not lying. They do it, they look it, and they look amazing. That to me, yes, I get it. Don't judge a book by its cover. I understand. But with that being said, if you're going to go to a mechanic and he has 10 cars out in his front yard and none of them work, it's not a good mechanic. I got that from Dr. Berry, by the way. Kudos to him. That one opened up my eyes. I'm like, oh, that's right. Oh, I wouldn't go to a toothless dentist either. That was my
right. But, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, my wife is very supportive. Like I said, I'm one of the lucky ones. Everything about her, she molded me into the person that I am right now. You know, whenever I have to make a decision or whatever the case is, we talk about it. We see eye to eye to things, and if we don't, like for instance, there are certain cons. You know, she's like, you know, we have half a cow now in the fridge. I need to feed the kids. I'm like, the kids, I kid you not, since I started, they've eaten sirloin, ribeyes, New York strips at least once every day because they love it. And I'm there. I'm sharing. Even the dog comes over here. And I'm looking at the dog. I'm eyeing the dog. I'm like, man, if push comes to shove, buddy. But no. I like this little guy. He's okay. But with the right salt. But I mean, that's one. But that's one of those things. It is a game changer. I have to be honest. This is a game changer, but it is a struggle. And what I mean by that is I'm not thinking about food. I'm not doing anything like that. But trying to checkmate that vice is always in the back of my head. Excuse me. I start thinking, man, um, what if I'm at a party and I don't want to be disrespectful? What do I say? What do I do? All right, I'll tell them there's something, I'm going through something. But then people catch on. But then at the same time, I start thinking I shouldn't be afraid to say, look, I can't eat this right now. Why? Because I eat different. What do you eat? I'm on a carnivore diet. What's that? Well, it's just straight ruminant meat and eggs and butter. And oh, but that's crazy. Yeah, but you're the one eating the processed stuff. Like I don't like. See, the thing is, I can't keep my mouth shut. And I need to learn to listen more, as the Bible verse says, and keep this one shut.
Yeah.
But
I think the best way to what I found that works for me is if you're going to go out somewhere and there's going to be food and it's like there's an expectation you're going to be eating, I feel like the best way to handle it is just by setting expectations up front. Get in front of it, basically, and just say, look, I don't want to offend anyone. I have a special diet at the moment, and I don't want to. I don't want to kind of crash the party and be this party pooper if I'm there looking like I can't eat whatever's on offer. So, I'm happy to sit this one out if I'm going to offend anyone by not eating or whatever, and then you've just given them the option, given the host the option, and if they want to say, "Oh, that's going to be a bit weird," okay, well, but at least it's in their mind now.
right,
Yeah.
it's a good point. I've done that with holiday parties the past 2 weeks as well. I go there and I tell them that it's an allergy. I tell them, which it is. I mean, there's so much issues that I think that's what flared up so much problems with me. And I think that was the focal point of eating certain things that they tell you that it's good for you, but at the same time, it's harming you. Like for me, it was, I mean, this way of eating, I kid you not, I ate once today. I was off from work today. I ate around 12. Right now it's 9 o'clock at night, Eastern. I am not hungry. I went for a run just now, an hour and a half on the treadmill, watching your videos, baby. You know what I mean? And I'm like, oh man, this is great. One after another, one after another. And it's like an afterthought right now. But I don't want to wave the flag and say, hey, I'm off of this. It's a constant battle that it's every day. And every day I have to assure myself, why are you living this way? What aren't you better now? You have the self-control. You think clearly. You make cognizant. You see, what a world. Cognitive decisions. And why would you want to go back? It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I ask myself these questions over and over. This is for your family. This is for your wife. This is for your kids, for your brother, for your nieces, for your nephews, for your cousins. You live a certain way. You set expectations that you could attain. No matter how difficult it is, you're getting to a certain point that you're the one that's enjoying this journey and you have to go through this. Iron sharpens iron. So I have to go through this because it's difficult.
Right.
And I think that's one of the main things in life. When you go through something difficult, it's worth it. You come out on the other side stronger. The mental health aspect of it in understanding. And the best part of it is helping someone else that's going through that, through their own kind of trials and tribulations, and telling them it's all right. Just keep pushing through. Keep putting one foot in front of the other. You're going to get through this. And I think that's my bright spot every morning, thinking about these things. Obviously in the morning I get up, I pray, and I look at my family, I pray over them always, and I say, all right, you know what? Let's get to it. I don't care what's coming this way. I know that it's going to be worth it. Good or a trial, whatever it is, something good. There's going to be a silver lining, and it all starts with proper nutrition.
Mm. So on that, you just said before, like you've only eaten once today. So
Mhm.
what is your normal pattern? Like you just doing intuitive eating, or is it typically 1 or 2 meals a day?
So yeah, it's pretty much just like that. Where if I'm hungry, I'm not going to force myself to eat because I think that's what has gotten me in trouble so many times. For instance, back then, they people would say, "Look, you're eating a lot at night because you don't have breakfast." But I was never a breakfast person. But whatever I need to do to help the situation, so I started eating breakfast. But that wouldn't help at the end of the night. I would eat that would be more double, and I would be eating more and more, and that my sugar spikes would go through the roof. Like when I would go to work and I would go to eat lunch because everybody's doing it. You can't be the outlier. You can't be like, you didn't eat today? Like people look at me like, how dare you? What, you're not going to be hungry throughout the day? And I was. I was hungry throughout the day because my sugar levels would not level out. And then again, I would go after work, no matter what the time was, and I would go into that depth of depression of eating and eating and eating. But now, no, like if I wake up at 10 in the morning and I see the kids eating and I see some eggs and whatnot, I'll think to myself, should I eat or not? I'm not hungry. And the answer is quick. It's quick at the draw. I'm not hungry. But then when I feel that, all right, you know what, it's time. Like towards the end of the day, around 7 o'clock at night, I have my ribeye upstairs, and watching guys like Dante Ferrigno and how they show you how they cook these massive steaks in an air fryer. Wow, game changer. I'm all for it. And again, my family's from Argentina. And in Argentina, what they do is something called asado. If I say it wrong, they're going to asado. All right, I'm sorry, guys. So they have this huge grill, huge. And on the side, they have wood. They don't use charcoal or anything like that. And as the ambers fall, they bring the ambers under the grill and they cook massive meats. But these things take like 4 hours, 5 hours. So you're there with wine, you're drinking beer, this and that, and you're constantly eating. But now I do those cookouts, but I've excluded a lot of those things like beer, wine, the cakes. I'm just enjoying just going through the motion that activity with the family and showcasing to my family, you don't need alcohol. You don't need it. I was never a big alcohol guy, maybe just going with friends. But even going with a good friend of mine this past Saturday night, he calls me up, hey, you want to go to a bar? We're going to watch the game. I had to make a decision. All right, you know what? Intuitively, I think we kind of spoke telepathically somehow, Dave. I called him. I said, I can go, but I want to let you know, I can't drink. I can't do that. I could only have seltzers. He's like, yeah, no problem. So I went with him. Another buddy came out. We had a blast. No drinks for me. It was one of the most inexpensive nights I have ever had with a friend. They must have spent like $400. I'm there just drinking seltzers, and I always feel bad. I'm like, look, let me put half. I don't care, something just to help out. They're like, nah, dude, come on, get out of here. No, no way. But they're funny because they're like, hey, look, before you get here, we're gonna order some steaks. We'll wait for you. And I know that in restaurants, it's about the experience. It's not about the health. It's not about salt and pepper. And I've worked in restaurants, and it's very difficult to find a place where they're going to cook it without anything, any additives. So I had told them, look, with all due respect, I can't do it. I can't because I'm on something. And they're very understanding. Like, look, don't worry about it. So when I got there, they finished eating and we had such a blast that night, but it was It was an eye opener because it's amazing the power of no, of saying no. I I will not do this. I'm on a winning streak right now. And I know there'll be blips in life. I get it. And I think I'm going to need those hiccups in the road. I'm going to need it. I just don't think now is the time
But
because
yeah, those hiccups and recoveries, they make you a stronger person, right?
that's right. 100%. And I think as well, like all these testimonies that I watch on your show and in other shows as well, where people are on the carnivore diet, like my brother, already almost beyond a year. It's a recovery that takes a long time for your body to replenish itself. Because if you think about it, to get to a certain point of being diabetic or certain ailments, it takes time to do that destruction to the body. It doesn't take 12 weeks. You watch on TV, drink these miracle green liquids. It'll help you out in 12 weeks and you're back. It doesn't happen like that. It's got to be consistent. And I think that's the key to this game here is the consistency and the focus and knowing that there is a straight link, soul, mind, body. It's been there for ages. And just to hone in on that, just to hone in and say, I need to get to there. And I feel that I'm very close and I need to continue on. And I have to thank you first and foremost, Dave, because what you have done to this community, so many people that don't want to look outside the box, but when they start seeing the testimonials that go through your channel, man, wow, you've interviewed over 900 people and they touch chords. I know they touched me and it's a game changer. It's a life changer. So I appreciate you immensely, Dave. So I thank you for this.
Cheers. So, Daniel, if someone came to you and said, okay, I'm ready to go, you're doing so well, show me what to do, what advice would you give them for starting Carnivore?
First thing I would say is be alone, go somewhere alone where it's just you and a mirror and a notebook. Write down your goals. Write down the goals that you've done in your life. And write down the goals that you want to achieve. You have to look at your past of success because that will bring you a bridge towards the future. So to me, look into the mirror. You can't lie to the person staring back at you. Be real. Have an honest conversation. Are you willing to change? Are you willing to say, I want my life back. I want my family back. I want my wife, everything back. I want to be able to look towards life in a manner that I've never looked before, or maybe I have, but something overshadowed it. And I think everybody has willpower to do whatever they want. And I think the power comes through your tongue. If you say negative things, I can't do it. You'll never achieve it. Say it. Preach that incantation. I will do it. I look in the mirror and I say, this is going to be a great day today. It's going to be good. When I go to work and it's Monday, everyone hates Monday. I'm the only one there that says, thank God it's Monday. And they tell me, why? Why do you always say, thank God it's Monday? Because it's the start of something new. I'm ready to move forward. This is beautiful. I get to look forward towards Tuesday, Wednesday. I start looking ahead of my progress and the people that I can influence around me by my actions. I'm not going to overpower them of my beliefs or what I do. They're going to ask me. They're going to say, what happened? You weren't like this before. Well, let me tell you about a little story called Carnivore. And at that point, it's an amazing journey.
Nice. So, Daniel, how can people reach out to you? Do you have social media? Any way of getting in contact?
I do. I host a great show called the Jets Afterburners Podcast. It's on YouTube. We have it on X. We're on normally Thursday nights at 9 p.m. It's a fun show, very abstract, a lot of laughs and whatnot. But we also have a series that I'm going to start promoting. I already started recording. And Dave, you're the man for coming on here as well. It's a show where we're trying to help the NFL fans, the National Football League fans, as the season's coming down to the end, where a lot of sport fans, when they don't see their sports teams play, they get so used to watching them every week, they fall into a vortex of depression and bad eating habits ensue. So what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to use that platform to help people discover carnivore and physical activities. I'm going to have physical therapists, also doctors on here. It's probably going to be like a 10-part series. And I want to at least showcase to people that you have to put your health first. It will help with your mental health issues as well. Just to finally just take the blinders off. Question everything. Question everything. Do your own due diligence. And the truth will set you free. And again, you can find me at Jets Afterburners Podcast, New York Jets Stand 16 on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. So yeah, we look forward to seeing new people on the platform. And Dave, thank you so much for this opportunity, man.
No worries. I'll link to those below. Thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate your time, Daniel.
The pleasure was all mine.